the good, the bad, and the ugly fitness advice that's on the internet. Cottage cheese? Absolutely not. That's only going to go straight to your belly. I can't believe this guy, his name is Belly Fat Pro, and he's recommending cottage cheese. My 3 pillars of happiness are diet, exercise, and mindset. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about exercise and diet, like yogurt and cottage cheese. I think that's terrible advice. But as you can see, my biggest disagreement is kind of how he thinks about fitness, right? How he's kind of making you think about fitness in terms of numbers and caloric deficits and things of that nature that I think you want to be most careful. Welcome back to another episode of the Contemporary Happiness Podcast. I'm your host, David Nima. I'm an attorney by trade and a happiness coach. And on this podcast, we discuss the art and science of happiness in contemporary society. Now, as you all know, my 3 pillars of happiness are diet, exercise, and mindset. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about exercise and diet. I came across this tweet thread by Coach Kev, who calls himself the Belly Fat Pro. This is Coach Kev, the Belly Fat Pro. He's got 160,000 followers on Twitter, so it's pretty influential. And his byline says, helping busy professionals lose 30 pounds and shrink their belly in 90 days. Guaranteed. DM me belly if you're interested in coaching. So he's obviously a fitness influencer and a fitness professional. He's put together these 30 plus fitness and diet tips, and we're going to go through them. We're going to go through all of them, and I'm going to give you my feedback on which ones I think are actually good advice and which ones I think are BS or just not good advice when it comes to diet and exercise. So let's get right into it. Okay. Number 1. Cut out alcohol completely. It's a nightmare for gut health, cognitive function, sleep, recovery, fat loss, and muscle building. Now, I agree in part with this. I think having some alcohol once in a while to take the edge off can be beneficial for you for just lowering your stress, which is beneficial to your physiology and as well as your mindset. And it helps you eat better, which I guess, kind of ties into your diet a little bit. So, I've posted a video about the benefits of beer, that I think beer has some benefits that should not be discounted per se. And cutting alcohol may not really be realistic for a lot of us. Let's just face it. So I give this kind of a medium score in terms of whether or not I agree with it. Number 2, get sunlight as often as possible. Studies show daily exposure can boost testosterone by 69%. Now, there's a funny, old joke that 69% of all statistics are bullshit. So the 69% part really, I think, is just nonsensical, and it's just there to try to induce you to feel that this is official. But I absolutely agree that sunlight is highly beneficial. And in fact, on my morning walks, I've stopped wearing sunglasses personally, and I love sunglasses, but I've stopped wearing sunglasses so I can get that sunlight, especially that sunlight that's on the horizon during morning, during sunrise and sunset, a few hours around sunrise and sunset, get that sunlight directly into my eyes. So I highly agree with getting a lot of sunlight, and getting sunlight directly into your eyes can be beneficial. I'm not saying stare into the sun, but not using sunglasses. Number 3, if you have an office job, do dead hangs, each workout to decompress and alleviate back pain. Definitely agree that you should be, practicing some type of exercise routine, especially if you have a desk job and you're sitting on a chair most of the day, to alleviate that kind of stress on your back. 4, it is physically, mathematically, biologically, and scientifically impossible to be in a caloric deficit and not lose weight. So he's talking about calories here. And, I don't really understand calories personally. I'm an attorney, and I don't think in terms of calories. I think in terms of, eating non-processed foods, and we'll talk a little bit later about in this video about that. But I think I would not focus on any kind of caloric deficit per day for you to lose weight. If that's something that might be a short-term strategy. If you're trying to lose 10 pounds in 10 days, then yeah, you might have to, use some kind of caloric manipulation to do that. But if you're talking about a lifetime of good eating, you can't keep an eye on calories. And that's another thing that to watch out for some of these kind of pro tips and advice that you see online. Is it something that is is it a sustainable diet and exercise routine, or even kind of a mindset, practice that you want to do? Is it something that's sustainable that you can do for 60 years, right? Can you do this for 60 years? Or is this something that, is going to be, a temporary solution, something that's a fad essentially? So keeping calorie counts, again, I don't see anybody doing that over, a lifespan of 120 years. Number 5, potatoes, chicken, steak, Greek yogurt, fruit, veggies, and seafood should be 85% of what you eat. You'll unfuck your body composition on this alone. So I highly agree that your diet is significantly important. As you've seen in previous videos, I recommend the biblical diet, which is I essentially eat most of my food comes from foods that are mentioned in the Bible. Things like fish, meat, bread, beer, vegetables, lentils, beans, herbs. These things are all mentioned in the Bible, and those are the kind of things that I eat. I don't agree with Greek yogurt. I don't think Greek yogurt is good for you. Very little dairy or no dairy at all. I'll have some butter in my eggs once in a while, but I don't have any other dairy other than, I guess, maybe Parmesan cheese at a nice restaurant. It's the only type of cheese that I would eat, and really no type of yogurt. And I know that Greek yogurt has a reputation for being healthy, but for me personally, I find myself gaining a belly by having Greek yogurt. So I highly recommend things like honey, for example, another item that's mentioned in the Bible, and staying away from Greek yogurt 100%. If you're new to lifting and trying to lose fat, the scale may not change much at first. Be patient, you're building muscle. So I think lifting some weights can be good for you, but my baseline for your exercise routine should be to get to a place where you can break a sweat. Okay, that's what you want to do. You want to break a sweat, and you don't want to be doing highly stressful activities on your body, like running, for example. Running is not natural. Running is a sport that's promoted by companies like Nike to sell more shoes. You do not to be running at all. I walk. Walking is a historic activity that human beings have done. But running for recreation is only like 100 years old. People never ran for fun, back in the day. We're not cut up for running. So, and lifting weights, I think some weightlifting can be very beneficial. As you see in my book, I primarily discuss various kinds of stretches that you can do and basic exercises that you can do without any equipment. So, but nonetheless, this is a good advice. Lift 4 times per week. Follow a push-pull legs routine to hit all muscle groups. So this is not bad advice. If you're if you're lifting weights right now, you can take this advice. Push-pull legs, stretching and squats and things of that nature, are also good. This is critical. Number 7, stop calling yourself lazy or fat fuck. Your self-identity determines your end result. Adopt the lifestyle and beliefs of a healthy person until it becomes reality. So this is good advice. This is mindset in terms of the way that you talk about yourself in your own brain. No negative self-talk is basically what he's saying. Positive self-talk. No negative self-talk. That's a huge mindset shift, and highly agree with that, 100%. Number 8, compound lifts, squats, bench press, overhead press, push-ups, dips, and pull-ups will yield 80% of your muscle group. So this is, very weightlifting specific. And I think I don't have enough, training to be able to advise on that. I think just, lift some weights, try to break a muscle, try to break a sweat, and, and focus on stretching as well. and and think about a workout routine that is sustainable for you, that you can do for 50 years, not some kind of new fad like hot yoga or Pilates or even heavy weightlifting. Very few people want to be weightlifting for 50 years. Gain a little muscle and practice on your tone, not necessarily building bulk, which I don't see as a sustainable workout routine. Workout when you wake up. This is the highest rate of success. I don't know what that correlates to, but I agree. I like to work out in the morning before my breakfast. I might have a banana or some water before the gym, for example, or before my morning walk, or maybe just a couple of spoons of honey, and then get into it. And then, but some people like to work out later in the day. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference, whatever works for you. But I think you do want to, just like I said, break a sweat at least 5 times a week. Use hot sauce, salsa, mustard, or buffalo sauce on everything, typically 0 to 10 calories, and adds flavor. I agree with this, except some sauces are filled with a lot of sugar and other processed ingredients that you want to stay away from. We just had Super Bowl over the weekend, and the hot sauce that was used on the wings, and also the ranch dressing, whatever was in that ranch dressing, is probably a lot of sugar in it. It just didn't make me feel good. So sometimes, some of the sauces I personally like. Tabasco sauce. I think it's a really good hot sauce. And try to buy more authentic sauces. But I highly agree with this statement to add them as toppings, and I think that they're all pretty good for you as long as you get natural sauces and you stay away from sauces that have a lot of high fructose syrup or any kind of sugary ingredients. Even your typical Heinz ketchup nowadays has high fructose syrup in it, which is crazy. So, be, I guess, judicious about which sauces you select. But yeah, I would invest in good sauces, and you can make a lot of sauces at home too. And look out for sauces at your farmer's market. That's another good place to potentially spot some really good, healthy sauces. Number 11. When training for muscle growth, train within a few reps of failure. So that's just, pushing yourself to the edge. Again, I think doing weight training is good for you, but you want to also think decades. You want to think in long term in terms of what kind of exercise routine are you likely to do for the next 50 years. And I think a lot of that is covered in my book in terms of doing basic stretches, going on a walk. You can do push-ups or some kind of arm exercise and leg exercise to build muscle and definition. And you can do that routinely, but this heavy weightlifting, within a few reps of failure, this is not sustainable exercise advice, in my opinion. To number 12, when training for strength, train in the 1 to 3 rep range for heavier weight. So this is just, again, if you're trying to become a bodybuilder and you want to just really put on some muscle temporarily, yeah, you should be lifting weights that you can only lift 1 to 3 times. But personally, I go with lighter weights, and I have more control and more manipulation, more ability to manipulate the weight. And I think it works all the little muscles in your body instead of just that one bicep, for example. And yeah, so this is not like, you don't want to, this is heavy weightlifting, and I think it's just too much. Okay, understand this. Not losing weight, you're eating too much food for the calories you're burning. So again, weight loss by itself can't necessarily be a goal either, right? You're not going to be on a certain exercise routine to be always losing weight, right? At some point, you need to get to a place where you have constant weight or some kind of weight range that you're staying within, and it's healthy weight. So this is the wrong way of looking at your diet and exercise routine, or I guess your physical health. It's absolutely wrong. Don't think about the number of pounds and don't think about the number of calories. It's really about, like I said, getting to a point where you're breaking a sweat every day, because that does so many things for your metabolism when you're breaking a sweat that it's unmatched with any kind of weight training or any kind of diet product that you can eat. By getting your body to a point where you're breaking a sweat, the exercise routines that you can do anywhere without any equipment, and you can do them for decades. So this is just focusing on the number of pounds and losing weight is a wrong way of looking at it. It's easier to not eat a 300 calorie cookie than it is to burn 300 calorie. So I agree with that in terms of sometimes when you eat something that's just not good for you, it's easier not to eat it, right? Rather than to pay the price. Like sometimes if I eat like fast food, for example, like, it might taste good at the moment. And obviously I was hungry when I ate it, but I'm going to pay that price. I'm going to pay that price for a day or two in terms of getting all those toxins out of my body. And so I agree with that. But again, anything with calorie counts, I just don't like it. Creatine, number 15. Creatine is an incredible and safe way to boost muscle building results. Take 5 grams daily. Absolutely not. This is terrible, terrible advice. Creatine is just full of artificial processed nonsense and highly not recommended for part of any kind of diet or fitness routine. And again, this is targeted towards somebody that, I don't know, wants to enter some kind of bodybuilding competition in the next week and is trying to put on, mass. But 5 grams, Jesus Christ, absolutely not. Stay away from all creatine. I know it's big business and a lot of people are pro creatine, but creatine is terrible for you just in the short term, as well as it's absolutely cannot be part of a long-term diet and exercise plan. You're not going to be taking 5 grams of creatine until you're 65 years old or 75 years old. It's ridiculous. Number 16, you shouldn't be hungry when losing weight. Eat a lot of protein and you'll be full for fewer calories. I agree with that if you eat properly, then I think that you can kind of monitor your hunger. And it's a lot of times when you're eating these empty, sugary products, like a bag of chips, for example, that leave you hungry, but at the same time, kind of bring you down because of all the sugar and salt and processed oils that go into these types of products. Like, a candy bar, for example, same thing. You're going to have that sugar high and sugar low, like ice cream, things of that nature. Sometimes people eat them, and they ruin their appetite, so to speak, right? So it's very important to have proper meal planning so that you can have good, healthy food options around you when you're hungry and you're not resorting to these kind of placeholder type of snacks, most of which are basically tricking your brain in terms of actually making you feel fulfilled because of the taste, but you're actually still hungry. And that's probably why a lot of people feel hungry while they're on a quote unquote diet. Number 17, don't rely on the scale. Measure your waist. 1 inch off your waist equals 3 to 4 pounds of fat loss. Again, these are just ridiculous numbers and I wouldn't focus on them at all. I think focus on how you feel, when you put away the processed foods and you start eating kind of healthy, whole foods, right? Like a steak with a side of beans, right? And some potatoes, for example. That's a whole meal. That's a proper meal. So, I wouldn't focus on this waist measuring and all that good stuff. Use these snacks to hit your protein goals. Safe Catch canned tuna, Good Culture cottage cheese, Oikos Pro Greek yogurt, Joko Moke protein shake. Okay, so I agree with the canned tuna. I think canned tuna can be very healthy for you, and it's a good ingredient to have into your diet, like a nice little tuna salad sandwich, right? That's a great thing to take to lunch, for example. And it's a healthy lunch, in my opinion. It's one of my favorite lunches. Look online for, tuna salad sandwiches recipes or tuna salad recipes. There's a lot of them. And it's a really, really great, and tuna by itself out of a can, that's totally fine too. It's a great, quick meal that's relatively inexpensive. The rest of it is bullshit. Cottage cheese, absolutely not. That's only going to go straight to your belly. I can't believe this guy, his name is Belly Fat Pro, and he's recommending cottage cheese. One of the things that, at least based on my body dynamic, that goes straight to my belly. It's unbelievable the noticeable difference I've seen when I start eating Greek yogurt, for example. Absolutely not. No cottage cheese, no Greek yogurt, and anything that has the word protein in it, but is not an actual protein like meat or fish, and or as a shake, is completely bullshit. I saw an article the other day, and I think somebody made a great point, which is that when you're having a shake, the blender is doing the digestion for you, not your body. So you're not getting nearly as many of the benefits that you would as actually biting into an apple versus having an apple smoothie, even if it's made from fresh ingredients, which sometimes they're not. There's a bunch of artificial ingredients and bad ingredients in these quote unquote shakes. So this kind of protein shake stuff, get the hell out. Absolutely not. Please do not follow this advice. Understand something needs to change. You're in this situation for a reason. You won't see results by continuing this routine. So obviously, you want to break the routine and make some lifestyle changes if you want to see a difference in your physique and your happiness, diet, exercise, and your mindset and your happiness. So I agree with that. Most protein bars are just candy bars in disguise. Avoid. So he's absolutely right. Protein bars are absolute nonsense too. That's why I don't know why he's recommending a protein shake, but he's not. But he's telling you to stay away from protein bars. I absolutely agree. Protein bars are. You want some kind of alternative to that? Have a handful of almonds. Have a handful of granola. Any kind of nuts like pistachios, walnuts, raisins. Raisins are a superfood. I mean, these are things that'll keep you alive on an 8-hour hike. You can have, a Ziploc bag full of this kind of mixed trail that you've made yourself, rather than buying the pre-prepared version. And especially these protein bars, absolutely complete, terrible for you junk product. Cardio isn't for fat loss; it's for heart health and endurance. Remember this. I agree, but cardio, I think a lot of people basically equate cardio to running fast and and doing all this kind of cardiovascular workouts. Again, you just want to get to a place where you're breaking a sweat. That's when all the magic happens in your body in terms of metabolism, heart rate, and endurance, your breathing, your lungs, everything. Once you're breaking a sweat, not to mention all the skin benefits that you get from sweating. I have a whole this discussion on sweating in other podcasts, and of course in my book under the physiology of happiness, chapter 7, which I believe is exercise. So check it out there. But just be careful for the word cardio, okay? Because when I hear cardio, I hear damage to your knees, for example, from long distance running. A bad workout beats no workout every single time. Just get yourself in the door. I don't disagree with that. And just, not all workouts are going to be as impactful. Sometimes you're not in the mood or whatever happens. But I think once you make it a lifestyle routine, it becomes a pain if you don't work out. You start feeling bad if you're not working out and getting that morning walk in or going to the gym a few times a week. You start to feel bad. And that's kind of where you want to be. Where are we at here? Running shoes are the worst thing you can lift in. Flat bottoms or barefoot only. That sounds like pretty good advice. But again, if you're lifting so much weight that you're in this kind of professional, high level weightlifting space, then I think you're not, I think that's, again, not as potentially a sustainable fitness routine, unless you want to be a bodybuilder for 20, 30 years. Let's see. What else do we have here? Track your workouts. Don't play the guessing game. Sure, some people work better like that. That's fine. If you need to lose weight, eat your protein first in each meal. You'll get fuller faster. My morning breakfast after my morning walk is a couple of eggs. And there's a couple different ways that I like to make them. Sometimes I'll put some potatoes next to them, couple of eggs, and a piece of bread. That's 90% of my breakfast. Keep it simple. Maybe a little piece of, bacon, for example, or some kind of meat product next to it if I'm feeling especially hungry. Sometimes I only have one egg, and a little salad next to it, or just like a sliced up tomato. So don't overcomplicate, protein for your morning. I think things like eggs, beans, a little bit of good, healthy meat product can be good for, your first meal of the day. Keep it simple. If you need to gain weight, eat your protein last. Okay, again, this is just ridiculous stuff. I wouldn't listen to that. That's just like, a catchphrase. Where are we at here? We have 10 more to go. 30. 9 out of 10 times people fail because they give up too soon. So I think having persistence is important, and that's why it's important to adopt routines that are sustainable, that you can have long term. For example, if you're paying an absorbent amount for a monthly gym membership, whether or not you go or not, are you really going to be able to maintain that gym membership subscription every month? Let's say it's a little bit out of your price range, for example, right? So, this is kind of, when he says people fail because they've given up too soon, you don't want to set yourself up for failure by going after all these kind of, extreme types of diet and fitness, routines that you can adopt, like, pricey gym memberships and all this equipment and lifting to the max and stuff like that. You want to keep it simple. Go on a walk, invest in some good walking shoes and running shoes. Go on a walk. Don't run. Do the stretches. Get to a point where you're sweating. Keep it simple. It's hard to give up when you have a simple routine. Force yourself to eat slower. It takes 20 minutes for your body to communicate to your brain that you're full. I don't disagree with that. I think eating mindfully is good for you. A lot of people just literally scarf down their meal. Sometimes I like to eat standing up, I think, and then you basically stop eating when your legs get tired. That could be another good way to kind of control your eating a little bit. You can't control where you burn fat. It's genetic. Just be patient. Okay, whatever. Number 33, lift legs twice per week, no less. 2 of your body's biggest muscles are in your legs. This is optimal for testosterone production. I have heard that there's a tremendous good link between, leg muscles and kind of brain functionality. So I think investing in good exercises is a good practice. In my book, I discuss just basic squatting. Basic squatting, something humans have been doing for thousands of years, and a basic well-positioned squat. So consider that as part. That's what I use for my leg exercise primarily. A few sets of dumbbells and a bench press are all you need to get jacked. I don't disagree with that. Keep it simple. Caffeine is fantastic for suppressing appetite. Absolutely. As long as you're not having any milk or dairy in your coffee. Black coffee. That's all you got to have. Black coffee. 36. If you require something sweet at night, make a chocolate protein shake or drink some kefir. Okay, I wouldn't have a chocolate protein shake. I'd have maybe a piece of raisin, for example. If you really want something sweet at night, piece of raisin, a spoonful of honey, for example, or bite into some dark chocolate. I wouldn't have a shake or anything with dairy ever, especially at night. 10,000 steps per day is huge for weight loss. How long is 10,000 steps? This is basically, so 10,000 steps is roughly 5 miles. That's a lot, I think. So, take that with a grain of salt. I'd say, as long as it takes you to get through to break a sweat, which in my view is probably 45 minutes, about 25 minutes for your body to warm up. And then the next 25 minutes, your body will eventually break a sweat if you're going for a nice walk. So that's my measurement of a good exercise routine, not all these numbers, 10,000 steps. Commit to a lifetime of doing this. If you expect to be done in 90 days or 6 months, you won't sustain your progress. So that's actually good advice. Yeah, you want to be looking at the long term in terms of your diet and exercise routine. Number 39. The easiest way to get addicted to the gym is by doing workouts you genuinely enjoy for the first couple of weeks. Yeah, I think you will eventually get addicted to having a good exercise routine in your life, and then to a point where if you don't have it, you start to feel uncomfortable and uneasy. So I definitely think that's good advice. Invest in some good headphones. Listen to some good music when you're at the gym if you're doing the gym thing. Either way, like I said, for some people, it's, buying some nice gym clothes, for example, or having a nice set of gym shoes that might motivate you to go. So whatever it is that motivates you, but yeah, get out there and, do your exercise routines to the best that you can consistently. Number 40, just finally get fucking started. You have no idea how incredible you'll feel every day. So yeah, I think that's definitely good advice. So I think that's roughly it. The 40 pieces of advice, you got to be careful because there's good ones in there and then there's not so good ones, right? Everything about caloric intake and measuring your waist, forget about that. All the heavy lifting that this guy's talking about, I don't think that's sustainable. And of course, nothing that has creatine in it is a shake. Nothing that is, dairy based, like yogurt and cottage cheese. I think that's terrible advice. But as you can see, my biggest disagreement is kind of how he thinks about fitness, right? How he's kind of making you think about fitness in terms of numbers and caloric deficits and things of that nature that I think you want to be most careful about. So as I mentioned several times, chapter 7 of my book is titled Exercise. And over there is I put, a list of exercise routines that you can work into your lifestyle that are sustainable, that I think that you can do for 90 years. And I think it's a much more holistic and beneficial way of thinking about your exercise routine. And of course, if you're particularly interested in weightlifting or things of that nature, go for it. But this is the baseline that I recommend in my book. So consider that. And thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about some of these tips in the comments. And as always, This is David Nima, host of the Contemporary Happiness Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, and I'll see you all in the next video.